Alright, so this is Diesel We the People News. One more time at it, y'all. I'm not an attorney, so I'm not giving legal advice, okay? This is educational purposes only, okay? Entertainment. Alrighty. Never look straight forward. Always look around you, be able to protect yourself by any means necessary. Alright? Think outside the box. Okay? And that's the only way you're going to be able to protect yourself, people. Now, this is going to be part 2 of quasi. Okay? How are they tricking us? And some of you guys well known, that's been with me long enough, I'm not a firm believer in 14th Amendment. I do believe it was unconstitutionally ratified. Alright? So the 14th Amendment is not supposed to exist. But whether it does or doesn't, you accept it as true and facts, which makes it stand. You just feed it inalienable. Alright? Basically, when you see somebody stealing something, you're just going to close your eyes and let them keep proceeding forward on path. Alright? And this is what we're doing today. Alright, so let's proceed forward on this, okay?
Hello again. I just want to make it short.
Now, that being said, I'm not saying anything or doing this. However, I want to let you fully understand that this was actually from a congressman challenging the 14th Amendment, by the way. Okay? But why is he challenging it? There you go.
Video to really emphasize a point. How does a government increase its power when it's limited by a constitutional charter that was its incorporating document? Like the U.S. The U.S. Constitution listed out enumerated powers, and that's all that it was given. Now, it was given some very powerful powers, like in Article 1, Section 8, where Congress is given pretty much exclusive, plenary, absolute power over interstate and foreign commerce. And that gave it absolute power over commercial law, like Admiralty Maritime. That's a huge amount of power. But, you know, it's still a limiting document. So the way to go about increasing its power was designed in the document itself through constitutional amendment. But that's a very difficult, time-consuming, expensive, and long process. How would the government go about circumventing the Constitution constitutionally, so to speak? Again, how do you constitutionally circumvent the limitations in the Constitution so that...
I'm going to stop there. My opinion, not legal advice or anything like that. Okay? You guys heard me on those videos, right? Bypass law. Alright? That's what they did. They created something to bypass something. So they bypassed the constitutional original intent. They bypassed the original intent. And judges that you bank on is doing just that. Because they're a member of the bar members.
You can increase your power without going through the long process of amendment or going through the process of conquest, which doesn't work very well, and again is very expensive. And we've mentioned this before. It's consent. As Jefferson wrote in the Declaration of Independence, all governments get their power by the consent of the governed. And this falls back on your absolute right to contract, whether you're a man in your natural capacity in the state of nature under natural law, common law, or if you're, as a person, a legal fiction operating in the civil law and commercial law. Both man and person have the absolute power of contract. And we're going to...
All right, bill of attainder. Okay, that's what they're talking about in this case right now. Bill of attainder. That the government cannot interfere in, which they are doing.
Get more into that as we go along in this playlist. But I just wanted to point out to you that that's exactly how the government has done this. And if you've watched all the videos in this playlist, you'll see that just about everything that is causing you to be bound to the government in ways that you don't like were done by you, not the government. The government just extends an offer. Hey, do you want to participate in a Social Security Ponzi tontine scheme where it's a tax, but we're going to make you believe that it's some sort of retirement benefit program, which it is. There's welfare aspects to the Social Security, but there's no property right in Social Security. It's not yours. It's a tax. And Congress doesn't have to give you that payout. It can change the Social Security Act at any time. And that's all voluntary. And I wanted to start off this video planting the seed that the beginning of this, the foundation of this.
All right, we're going to go back with property tax, right? It's volunteering. Even though they gave you misleading information, you're under assumptions and presumptions that you have to pay property tax. And then they did a color of law, right? They changed a legal document into real property instead of keeping it as private property. All right, it's color of law, trickery, which is fraud. However, you are led to believe something, and then they're going to come back after you and use quasi against you. Like the last video I just showed you, right? There's a basic knowledge that you understood this on both cases on that last video. In this case, we are misled. So even quasi doesn't even qualify in this, because we did this without knowing and accepting things without knowing. All right? The other one, the other video, is that we knew and we should be responsible. Therefore, I agree with that. We should be responsible. If I received milk, like the other video said, and I knew I'd knocked out the contract, then I should be obligated to go ahead and pay for it. I knew it wasn't mine, right? But this is what they're doing. They're using quasi, and you're not knowing that you have a different opportunity, okay? Which goes back into what? The 4 elements of contract that most people go with. I go with 8 because that's common law contract.
Voluntary bond servitude that you're in was with Reconstruction and the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment is a wicked, wicked amendment. But it's been sold to you as being a good thing. Oh, we're going to nationalize citizenship. Okay, but the 14th Amendment is what gives corporations civil rights and protects corporations, artificial U.S. persons, right?
And just so you know, if you read it, that's what they say, right? Incorporated, okay? This is how your towns became incorporated, no longer government. If you look on the business deal, they have an LLC number, right? They are not your government anymore. They sold it out. It's a corporation now.
And they sold it to you. Well, we got to give the freed slaves a civil status. Ouch. Most of the freed slaves and the slaves that were free before, without a civil status, were under natural and common law, and they were a lot freer than most of the whites in that situation. Now, I'm not talking about the slaves. I'm talking about the free blacks who didn't have a civil status as a person. They were much freer than most of the white people, even though before the Civil War there was still a lot of common law allodial freemen. They had the nexuses with the state, which bound them up. So I thought I'd share this quote with you.
That being said, okay, and I did a video a while back, right? Lincoln was considered a dark fellow, okay? You guys can verse your opinions on whatever direction you want to go with that, okay? But he was free, Okay, England, they had status. Okay, so for the dark fellows, they had status, which means it was upper privileged people. Okay, then you had the poor, all right, which is slaves. Okay, so this dark and light deal, you guys may not want to believe me, but I'll just go ahead and say it. All right, was in slavery because of the status, people.
From John Rarick, U.S. Congressman from Louisiana, 1967 through 75. He did this on the House Congressional Record on June 13th, 1967. We have tolerantly permitted the habitual misuse of words to serve as a vehicle to abandon our foundations and goals. Thus, the present use and expansion of the 14th Amendment is a sham, serving as a crutch and hoodwink to precipitate a quasi-legal approach for the overthrow of the tender balances and protections of the limitations found in the Constitution. So how do we how do we get around the Constitution's limitations? We get you to contract and consent voluntarily. And now we can rule over you however we want under our plenary and exclusive power of statutory civil law through contract. So, your driver's license binds you to the state and federal motor vehicle codes, as a 14th Amendment citizen. So those are the terms and conditions of the contract, the motor vehicle code. Your marriage license binds you to all the family law, marriage law, child protective services laws of the state. There's the terms and conditions of the contract. All those civil laws that deal with family law, child education, divorce, all that. Okay?
Yeah, 4D program is contract and all that kind of stuff. So I 100% agree with this man so far. But we're still going to go with this quasi thing, right? That you is knowing that you're going to go ahead and accept this. You did not know that there was an option, whether you're going to be a person or a free man. Okay? They just said you had to do this. Okay? I've been raised that same exact way. My parents told me, the cops told me, judges tell me, everybody's told me that we had to do this, that it's a law. Okay? They did not give us another option. So we were still misled, and quasi doesn't apply to us due to our ignorance. Okay? We're going to go back with that first video, right? They known they took that milk. So they're liable for it. But we did not know that we actually, case in point, right? There is no law existence that, number one, you had to pay federal taxes. Okay? Does not exist. All right? Number two, there is no law you have to pay child support. Number three, there is no law saying you have to register your property. All right? Bam, bam, bam. All right? But all them cases, everybody keeps telling you, you have to do it. And we agreed to do them because we was trying to be, legal people, lawful people. We did not want to cause controversy. Okay? But understand certain things, and you don't go into great details, which, maybe he wanted to keep the video short, and I'm going to keep mine a little longer, right? Because we need to know, all right? Now, if everybody told me about this, and I still did it, that would be different. They can use that quasi against me.
And you do this over and over and over and over and over again. And you're in nothing but a Gordian knot of your own making. So if you want to get out of it, you can. It's not easy. It's very difficult for most people because
I do have first-hand knowledge of that. It is a pain, y'all. You have to be diligent, They cannot have their sheep running outside the field and eat that fresh green grass, right? They want you to eat that leftover digging in dirt and get what little scraps you can get out of it.
If you've grown up your whole life on a plantation, being taken care of through the auspices of the state under parens patriae, that's the first video, government is father, and you try to return to the status of a natural common law allodial free man, that's going to be very difficult for you. And I mentioned in the last video, the best way to go about this is to follow the advice of the Apostle Paul. He said, "Are you called being a servant? Care not for it. If," and that's a big if you can be free, choose it rather. So find the things that you can change immediately. Get out of those contracts. A very easy one is like voter registration. Stop voting. That provides evidence that you are participating in the corporation as a member. Only members get to vote. And that binds you to the corporate body. So that's a very easy one to stop doing. You can legally send a letter and have them expunge those voter registration records and stop voting. Voting is an ardent prayer to your master of what you want through the corporate body. You're praying to a father by voting. Call no man father upon the earth. Return to the natural common law. Return to the law of God, the state of nature, and that's where you are a free man. Thanks for watching. I hope you continue to watch the rest of this video.
Alright, now I just barely found him while I was watching my grandbaby. You can hear in the background he's playing and all that. I kind of separated myself while I was doing this. Okay, and his YouTube channel, if you want to check it out, because I have not done it yet. I just like this one. Okay, the THEMERR/ROO2U and YASHA. Okay, if you want to check out more of his video. Okay, I probably will when I get time, you know, and it just depends on the grandbaby, people. All right, and if you recognize what I mostly say on my videos, I call you people. We are one of the people. I don't call you a person. Alright? And I say one of the people out there, people. Okay? That just identifies both of y'all, men and women. Or I don't have to just particularly say men and women. Okay? But this is what they are doing to us. Okay? And the only thing nobody's discussing is this quasi thing, right? And quasi, once again, I'm going to put this in your brain that we knew about it and still proceeded forward about it. Okay? But once you learn this, you got to dig your way out, and then you got to proceed forward out of it, right? Because now you're going to go under to acceptance. Okay? Now they can use quasi against you. Oh, what a mess. What a tangle web we weave. I tell you what. Ugh. If it wasn't so sad, people, this would be funny. Brilliantly, these attorneys are brilliantly tricking us of every single freedom and rights we have. And really tricking us to waive them. It's a sad thing. Right? They're judges, they're attorneys, all that. You know, and you get these attorneys, you go in there and fight the judges still can't do nothing because you agreed you're a person. Well, look, if you just said you was a man and woman, I may see this different. But then they'll put you in a private side where there wouldn't be no black and white paper. You know, because now it'd be in a private section. Okay? Because, well, legal and lawful is two different jurisdictions, people. Alright? You got the private side, legal and lawful, which is more lawful than legal. And quit listening to some of these people about common law as well. Yes, kings and judges confiscated common law from us. But really, what common law actually is what was right for the average man and woman, your neighbor. Do not do harm to your neighbor. That's common law. All right? If you enter contract, honor it. Common law. It's just common decency for one another as men and women working together. It wasn't this government or corporation takeover like they make it sound out being. All right? The judge is there to hear, not enter, but hear. Referee. All right? What you guys call plaintiff and defendant. We're hitting the ball back and forth. We're playing a tennis match. The judge is listening. That's all he's doing. He's refereeing. All right? But, it is more now than ever that we actually do it improper and tell the judge, hey, wait a minute, how do you have jurisdiction in this matter? Well, it's not the judge. It's the plaintiff that, is supposed to bring up the jurisdiction. And they're supposed to show verifiable proof. You can ask the judge, has the plaintiff show verifiable proof of the subject matter jurisdiction, yes or no? Has the plaintiff actually show verifiable proof of a personal jurisdiction, yes or no? Well, judge, has the plaintiff show verifiable proof of quasi-jurisdiction, yes or no? Right? But we just ask, well, how does this judge have jurisdiction? Judge don't. Plaintiff is the one that shows it has jurisdiction. You challenge jurisdiction to the plaintiff. Alright, sorry. These will be the People News. Till next time, bye y'all. And remember, get your head out of the box. Alright? Quit enslaving yourself.